Government imposes another curfew on the Boko municipality following renewed chieftaincy conflict in the area that has reportedly killed 9 persons so far. The Peace Council, caught in the crossfire, has withdrawn from the mediation.
The team arrived in the morning when there was gunshot, and so they could not do the mediating work that they were supposed to do. They went along with some CSOs who've been partnering with us as far as the work is concerned.
Meanwhile, scores of angry youth in Nalerugu are agitating, demanding the release of 2 elders who have allegedly been arrested at Boko whilst on official traditional assignment. We are live in the town for the very latest. And top story is brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. My name is Ernest Manu. Tonight, government has placed another curfew at Boko in the Upper East region through an executive instrument following renewed chieftaincy conflict in the area. In the latest directive, movement is expected to cease from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. daily, effective today, December 29. This comes in the wake of a withdrawal by officials of the National Peace Council dispatched to Boko to aid in mediation efforts. John Hughes understands they have returned to Accra after they were caught in the crossfire of the warring factions. Now, according to the National Peace Council chairman, Reverend Dr. Ernest Manu, who signed a statement urging both sides to use non-violent means to address their concerns, the team of mediators will return to continue with the work when the situation normalizes.
The team arrived in the morning when there was gunshot, and so they could not do the mediating work that they were supposed to do. They went along with some CSOs who've been partnering with us as far as the work is concerned. They met the regional minister and some other dignitaries in the north in what can be done. We are hoping that after today, the situation will be clearer. Because one of the festivals was supposed to have been celebrated today. As at now, we have no word as to what is happening now. But after today, if the situation remains calm, then the team might go back to see what we can do to help resolve the problems there.
Well, he's also reiterated the National Peace Council's resolve to continue dialoguing with stakeholders as a means of finding a lasting solution to the conflict.
Yeah, we had a peace advisory team that is in Boko. Unfortunately, the key person who was leading the team died a few weeks ago, and so that disrupted our operations a little bit. But we hope to get them back together. But whilst we do this, we think that there's a need for a holistic resolution of the problem. And so we'll be getting in touch with the Ministry of Chieftaincy Affairs because it's purely a chieftaincy matter. So once we resolve the situation and there is peace, there's a need to resolve the chieftaincy issue so that this thing will be done once and for all. So we'll be liaising with all those partners to ensure that we bring lasting solution to the problem that is in the area.
So that is the National Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Manu. The Member of Parliament for Boko Central told John News this afternoon calm had returned and that the annual Samampit Festival celebrated by the Kusasi people of Boko was actually underway. At the time he gave us the interview, Mama Yarga, however, urged the people to dialogue and embrace peace.
Well, I find killings unfortunate and condemnable. It's unfortunate that we've gotten to that point. So what I can do now is to appeal to everybody to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies for us to be able to bring the situation under control and then ensure that we go after the perpetrators of violence and then stop that from happening. And then the issues will be dealt with appropriately. I think at this point, we just have to appeal to everybody to cooperate with the law enforcement agencies and to urge all sides not to use violence.
Well, with that said, already we're told that the Peace Council team that were supposed to be mediating have pulled out because they were caught in the melee, amongst others. Do you know what exactly then is being done on the part of the security and the warring factions to bring peace to the area?
Oh, Boku is very calm now. Actually, we are at the Samampid Festival, which is going on well. The security agencies have provided the necessary cover for the celebration to take place, and we are gathered here, and the celebration is ongoing. So there's calm here. I think that what we need is to sustain it. So I urge the law enforcement agencies to increase the personnel and men here and the resources for them to be able to effectively, keep the peace. And then also we can engage with all sides to ensure that we don't have violent activities in other parts of the country.
Have such engagements already begun?
I can say that for a while now, through my discussions with the relevant ministers, the Minister for National Security, Defense, Interior, Regional Minister for Upper East, and even colleague members of Parliament, I know there's been discussions on all sides involving the Nairis Palace, Boku, and all other relevant actors trying to get everybody on board for us to work towards peace. And so I think that the engagement will continue. We can never be tired of working to ensure peace.
That is Mama Yaraga, the Member of Parliament for Boko Central, speaking to my colleague MFR Powell on the Midday News. And so that was the update as of this afternoon. Let's go live to Boko now for the latest, because a curfew has now been imposed by government. William Jalula is with our affiliate station in Bogatanga, Radio A1, and he joins us live with an update. William, first of all, tell us how the festival went, how it's been so far, and how this curfew has affected the celebration.
Okay, Ernest, the celebration of the Summer Pit Festival got climax today because it's usually a week-long celebration. And so the festival ended officially today. But in the run-up to the climax of the festival today, it was reported all over in the news that there were sporadic gunshots some days back. So even as of yesterday, we are also told that a number of people lost their lives in the course of the firing. But today, though the town was generally filled with security officers, you could still feel tension because people to get so much or high numbers of security officers as a result of this festival, you could feel tension among residents of the area, especially when they noticed that at critical installations and vantage points, there were a good number of security officers, predominantly the soldiers and the police officers, were all over to ensure that the situation was under control. For instance, the palace of the Bokunaba was one of the security areas that no one could walk in. Then the Daduri Park, where the festival took place, was full of security officers all over the area to ensure that they gave no chance to anything to occur. And so generally the festival ended peacefully as of today. We just hope that in the aftermath of the festival, things will continue the way they are, because the lifting of temporary ban on the use of smokes, the wearing of smokes, was today. It was only today they could wear smoke to celebrate the festival. Then also today, they could not also ride motorbikes to the festival ground or around the area. But after the celebration, that will be lifted, but they will bring back the ban on wearing of smoke in the area.
So we can say that the celebration has been incident-free. Can we say that?
Yes, as far as today is concerned, not in the run-up to today, but as far as today is concerned, it's been peaceful and successful, but not without heavy security presence in the township.
And how are the town folks responding to this latest directive? Already you have heavy security presence in the town when there's a celebration underway. Now there is a curfew. What has been the response?
For those who are residents in the area, some of them are used to this. Don't forget, the curfew didn't start from today, and so they have readjusted to the curfew hours, and so they just go by that. For the presence of security, again, they are used to some level of heavy security presence in the area because of the previous issues that have occurred. Then today it was just beef up because there was a need for that to be done to ensure that nothing was left to chance. And so they felt tense, but of course they also know very well that it is for their own good. That was why those measures were put in place. But the discomfort is what most of them, you meet them, they talk about. The fact that they have to go in knowing the harsh nature of the weather we have over here. You have to go in that early to sleep is a problem they are faced with. But generally, they understand the situation that it is for their own good. And some of them, even if you interact with them, what they tell you is that just a handful of people in the area have brought this hardship on them, and they wish that this issue could be resolved. Now, the chieftaincy minister, who happened to have represented the president today, also reminded the people of the area that they should respect the Supreme Court ruling that gave the current chief the mandate to be the chief of the area, Naba Abugrago Azoka II. And so he just advised that since the Supreme Court had ruled on this matter some years back, and the current chief is the legitimate chief of the area, all those who live within the area should respect him as such so that there will be peace in the area.
William, thank you very much. That's William Jalula. He is with our affiliate station in Bogatanga, Radio A1, bringing us an update on the situation in Boko. But there has been a spillover of this renewed chieftaincy conflict in Boko in Nalerugu today. Let's go live to Nalerigu now and speak to our man on the ground, Ilyasu Tanko, in the Northeast region. Ilyasu, there's been a spillover. We know that some youth in the Nalerigu area are protesting the reported arrest of two of their elders who were picked up while on official traditional duty in Boko. What was their mission there?
Well, it's still not clear the mission of these palace elders, but what we learn is that they were sent by the overlord, the Mamprugu king, to officiate a funeral ceremony in Boko. We don't have the details of this particular funeral ceremony, but what I can tell you is that these emissaries, if you like, or messengers or elders of the Mamprugu tradition, Mamprugu chief palace, went to Boko on the orders of the Mamprugu king to officiate a traditional funeral ceremony.
But the agitation has not just been in Nalerigu today. We also know of Gambaga, where two of their natives, again, allegedly, amongst the 9 persons reported dead. But we understand the regional minister was there to calm them down?
Yes, exactly. The regional minister has been working since last night together with the members of the Security Council, especially the security commanders here. They were yesterday in the night when the agitation started in Nalerigu. They were with the chief or the overlord here. They were able to calm the youth. And this morning, too, the youth marched at the chief palace, demanding that these palace elders be released. First of all, they want to know their whereabouts and then their immediate arrest. What we are learning is that these chiefs, like I said, went to officiate the traditional funeral ceremony. After that, they were on their way home. a call came through that they should be brought to Bolgatanga so that they will be escorted to Nalerigo. And when they got to Bolgatanga, they were arrested and subsequently flown to Accra. So as I speak to you now, the regional minister today went to the chief palace, the Mamprugu overlord, spoke with the youth, and then from there he proceeded to Gambaga, where he met with the chief of Gambaga and the chief imam of the region as well. And he had engagement with them to help him calm the situation and also find a lasting solution to this particular tension.
I would want first to send my condolences and the people of the Northeast region and the government of the Republic of Ghana to their bereaved families. You know, it's unfortunate that they were caught up in the middle of all that happened and unfortunately lost their lives. We can only wish them well wherever they may be. The next is to sincerely thank the overlord of Mamprugu, the Nayiri, for the leadership role he has played in all this. I sought audience with him and asked him to intervene, and he did exactly so. He gave the instruction that the bodies should be buried in Boko, just so that we don't have problems in the Northeast region. The same way, I want to thank Mbagambarana for the role that he has played, and to thank the chief imam of Mamprugu for the leadership role he has also played.
So that is Zidana Zakari, the regional minister, the Northeast regional minister, that's speaking to John News when he visited Gambaga. Then, as you heard Ilyasu Tanko say, he managed to calm down the youth who were agitated in the area. We'll bring you more of this later in our subsequent bulletins. But I have on the other phone line the Northeast Regional Public Relations Officer, ASP Robert Anabik. He joins us. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. Can you tell us about the situation on the ground with the agitating youth in Nalerigu?
Good evening. We've been able to calm down the youth who were agitating. The research and the regional minister were able to speak to the leaders, the Nayiri and then the others, and the chief imams, and have been able to calm down the youth. And the area is calm now.
Were their protests? Was their protest violent? Were their property destroyed in the course of the protest?
No, there was no destruction of public property or anybody in this. They were just registering the disposal of what has happened, and we have also deployed men along the street to make sure that anybody who does anything on towards will treat.
Do you have an update on the two elders who have allegedly been picked up? And what they're saying is that, information they have is that they've been flown to Accra, and it's regarding the issue in Boko. Is there any update on that?
That the issue is being handled by the Upper East Regional Police, and they can confirm to you what happened.
What is your arrangement on the ground to prevent a reprisal?
Since yesterday, we've been patrolling and deploying men along the street and other vital installations. We are continuing with that, and since the area is calm, we hope nothing untoward will happen.
Thank you very much. That's the Northeast Regional Public Relations Officer of the police, ASP Robert Anabik there, bringing us an update on the agitations in Nalerigu following the renewed violence in Boko, the chieftaincy violence there. The youth there are agitating because two of their elders were allegedly picked up while on official traditional duty. It is still not clear what the mission was, but as we heard from our reporter, Ilyasu Tanko, they had been apparently sent by the overlord there to officiate a funeral ceremony. Let's go on to the other line now and speak to security analyst Adam Bona. Dr. Bona, thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Top Story. We've been at this for years, Dr. Bona, and placing a curfew and renewing it seemed to be the immediate and visible security measure taken. In fact, just a few weeks ago, before this one, there was a curfew placed on Boko, and the situation had calmed down right in the middle of what seemed to to be the calm, we had these reprisals. Do the security agencies, does it appear to you that they take their eyes off the ball too quickly?
Well, good evening and good evening to your listeners. Well, it doesn't appear that way. My workings with them, it rather has to do with the resource availability to the security agencies. If you have to deploy a contingent or, a battalion to these areas, remember you are going to be, fueling them, rations, feeding them, accommodating them. All of these things usually would have to count. And in most cases, it is, born out of the meager resources the regional, the region has got, before probably the central government would have to come in. And so when it happens that way, before you realize, they begin to pull out one after the other, and everybody is gone. And so for me, what I can see is that these curfews and flying or sending troops to, a place like Baku is a short-term measure. This conflict has been raging for the last more than 4 decades. We need to find a permanent solution to this rampant, disturbances we have seen, since time immemorial to today, Ernest.
Now, mediation efforts seem to be suffering now because of the intensity of the violence there in Baku. We know that the Peace Council officials have withdrawn from the area. The chairman, however, assured us that they will return once the situation calms down. What can be done, on that front to reinitiate the dialogue immediately?
Well, I think what can be done to, start the dialogue or continue with the dialogue would have to be to ensure that those who are going in the Peace Council, those who would want to go into probably advocate for peace, their own safety is so paramount. And so if the place cannot be brought under siege, if you cannot send enough officers on the ground, then it becomes difficult for civilians who are mediators to go in and mediate. But I think immediately, our leaders, they are aware. Studies have proven what the immediate, the root causes of this, conflict has been. It has to do with chieftaincy. It has to do with some others saying some people don't belong here. And, and it's been dragging for many years. And also those who are benefiting from the criminality that is ongoing in the Baku area, which, those people are called the conflictpreneurs, because they benefit so long as the conflict gets too prolonged. And so, as far as I'm concerned, the mediators, the Peace Council, it's a creation of law. And so I would want to see them not leave. They should go in, no matter how difficult it is, to try and mediate. And the clergy, the imams, because most of these people either would be Muslims or would be Christians, and maybe probably the traditional leaders. Let's bring them to the round table, see what we can do immediately to calm down the tension in the region. But Ernest, one of my solutions would be that Baku should become probably the 19th police region. If you know, Kaswa was an albatross on our neck for a very long time. Now it is the 18th police region, apart from Tema. Kaswa is the 18th police region. That is not a political region. What it means is that you would have either an assistant commissioner, a deputy commissioner, or a commissioner of police with all the resources, usually some appreciable level of resources, both human and material, sent there, so that before these things, escalate, they are there to de-escalate it. But it looks like it's a firefighting approach where they begin to shoot at one another, then touch people's houses, and we fly in military officers, and the situation seems to calm down, and they withdraw, and then they go back to where they started from again.
That's quite an interesting suggestion you're making, Dr. Bona. But you are saying this simply because of the conflict we're having in Boko specifically. Of course, we know it has, effect on the neighboring towns. We are learning even of Nalerugu and Gambaga. But does it meet the indicators? Is that a strong indicator, if you are to look at it alone by itself, to create a region, a police region out of the Upper East region?
It goes beyond even meeting the threshold in terms of going beyond meeting the indicators. The people in Kaswa were not fighting among themselves. It was pure criminality. But if you go to the Boku area is interlaced with conflicts, people who sometimes are fighting for a piece of land, people who are fighting for chieftaincy, fighting for something. Some of them don't even know why they are fighting. And you also have those who are helping the fighting because of their own selfish criminal intentions. And so it goes beyond meeting that rating with regards to the police, probably looking at it and saying, because as far as I'm concerned, Ernest, we would have to begin to do some of these things. And Kaswa is a very good example. Lately, we don't hear too much of crime because then some persons have taken, call a responsibility in terms of security. But the security solution alone, anyone who understands conflict will tell you, security solution alone is usually temporary. We'll not deal with it. Let's look at the root cause. So this is one of the solutions in terms of security. But when it comes to the human-centered, all those people who are conflicting, I think fighting among themselves, let's look at it. Why are you saying they cannot bury a certain chief? Why are you saying they cannot? And as we speak today, we don't know. Night is already getting dark, and the festival, the Samampid, festival, is going to begin. What do we do? What are we going to see? Are we going to wake up to a peaceful Baku, or wake up to a very horrible Baku? I believe if they are listening to us, they should lay down their arms and probably let's all live together and cross the new year peacefully.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adam Bona there. Thank you for adding your voice to the calls for peace. And that's it for Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. Together we can. My name is Ernest Manu. After these batch of messages, we'll bring you Newsnight. Stay with us.
All SIM cards in Ghana